A few final thoughts on why universal design in an educational setting.
Audio description of graphic. Universal design focuses on people, not medical conditions, is beneficial to many people, proactive, anticipate needs, supports confidentiality and privacy, welcomes human diversity, and recognizes many needs and preferences, makes us more effective educators and communicators.
We're all different, but we're all people. And just because we may have a physical handicap, it doesn't mean we're any different than you. We just have an impairment that we're overcoming. And we're all equal. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Number one would be listen to your students and ask your students. So ask them every once in a while, can everybody hear me in the back? Can you see what I'm doing? Is this red pen okay? You ask that every once in a while to your students, and listen to them. If they're not complaining that you can't see, well then you're probably doing okay that they can see or that they can hear. Another advice is to use the resources that are available, and also to know that you're not going to do it perfectly the first time, and that's okay, and that, you know, as long as you are involved in getting better and making it more accessible, you know, you will continue to improve and learn.
Well, as the chair of a department, and I do get new instructors, there are a lot of websites out there for them to read about it on their own, and just because it's simple, really. I mean, it's common sense. It's making things intuitive. It's making things accessible to give them that. And then also, I've brought in student accessibilities counselors to faculty meetings, just to give a sense of the kinds of things they'll be needing to address in their classrooms, and the ways to get through to so many students. Because I think one of the things that it took me a long time to learn is that it's not what you teach, but it's what students learn, and those can be two really different things. And you need to figure out how to find out what they've learned, not find out what your lecture looks like to you when you know the answers to it or the projects.
I use clickers, a student response system, which allows a student to provide a response with a remote device, and I can show a summary bar graph or histogram, whatever format, to get a sense of the class, and that helps create discussion. Keeps them active, minimally. But the bottom line is active learning. I guess that's the buzz phrase. So if you think of the student learning experience in all these multiple ways in which we perceive and interact and what have you around course concepts, then really it's a much more open environment over the traditional, I'm here to lecture, you're here to soak it up, take a few exams and quizzes, maybe go to a discussion section, and that's the class.
I've been doing this an awfully long time, so when there's any kind of, especially technology has made it so much easier, when there's any sort of technology that helps, I think as teachers we're trying to reach everybody. Some students are visual learners, some need to hear things, some need to write things, some need to review, some, you know, so I just find that by doing that almost every time I have a lecture, I email a handout. I tell them to check D2L, and so I try to give them, you know, many ways. So it's a PDF form. We also have discussion sections in there, so that even in a large lecture class with 300, they can go in and comment about a lecture, and I can go back in and comment about what they've said. And I think it's made a big difference.
I think I would share that this is not necessarily all that new. If you think about how students learn, how people learn broadly, let alone in a classroom setting, how we perceive, how we learn, and all the different ways in which we do this. You know, I'm in the movement sciences, so we deal with all the sensory modalities more broadly than perhaps a mathematician or an historian. But if you think about the learning environment that way, then you don't even have to worry about labeling it access or universal design. Simply put, you're trying to figure out the best way to actively and constantly actively engage your students. That's all.
Executive producers: Brian Schultz, Director of Student Accessibility Services, University of Wisconsin Colleges; Jean Salser, Senior Counselor, Student Accessibility Center, University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee; Videography: Scott Maliff, Thomas Dembski; Narrator: John Bartel; Audio description: Brian Schultz. Students: Stephanie Beneke, Brian Bromberek, W. Jean McCoy Garner, Jennifer Kane, Kathy Saladino, Janet Schiff, Danica Davis, Joshua Easley. Sign language interpreters: Catherine Sudzinski, Susan Gordon. Instructors: Erica Sander, Leanne Garrison, Gina Seegers-Zableski, Elizabeth Brown, Jeffrey Tweedale. Video Production Services, WSCS, Sheboygan, Wisconsin. Production funding provided by the Access Ed project through the R2D2 Center at University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee. Copyright 2009, all rights reserved.